Hey everyone, welcome to Sequence of Instructions. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to be talking about logical operators. JavaScript has a ton of different operators and we might do videos on them, other ones in the future. If you want a full list, I encourage you to check out w3schools.com. They have all of them, from ones that you've probably seen before, addition, subtraction, multiplication, down to things you probably haven't seen before. The ones we're going to be talking about are these, logical operators. For the purpose of this video, we're going to be working primarily with Boolean types because that's the primary type that logical operators work with. So if you haven't seen our video on data types and aren't familiar with what a Boolean type is, please check it out. I'll have a link to it in the description of this video. Watch it and then pick back up here where you left off. For those of you that are ready to move on, let's dive in. So there are three main logical operators we're going to be dealing with. The first is not, indicated by an exclamation point. The next is or, indicated by two vertical bars. And the last is and, whose symbol is two ampersands. If you're not familiar with, if you haven't heard the term logic before, I'm sure you have. But as it relates to this, it's relating to the discipline of mathematics. Maybe you've heard of a logician. So they would deal with this idea of truth and false and things like that. And so JavaScript and most programming languages give us a window into this world of logic with these operators here. So to give you an idea of how it works, I'm going to make a variable. I'm going to say I'm going to call my variable wants steak. All right, I'm going to say wants steak is true. I'm pretty hungry right now, so I want steak. Let's log the value of wants steak. Because we set it to true, we're pretty confident that it's true. And there it is. So the first operator we're going to be talking about is the not operator. And this is going to take whatever the value is and give you the opposite Boolean value. So wants steak is true, not wants steak is false. So it took the value true and it flipped it to the other one and gave you false. If wants steak was false, not wants steak would be true. Because whatever it is, it just flips it. You can stack these. So here I'm going to make wants steak true just because it's a little easier to wrap your head around. Want steak is true. Not wants steak is false. And therefore not wants steak is going to be true again. So you can stack as many of these as you want. Why would anyone do that? Well, more than two, there's no real purpose. But for two, this is basically going to coerce your variable into the Boolean type. And we'll do a different video on type coercion in the future, but just know that if you've ever seen this, it's basically going to check for empty values on wants steak. So, 0, for instance, would be an empty value. I don't want to get into this too far, but this would check, all right, is my value empty or not? True being not empty, false being empty. And so if I ran this, it would say, nope, 0 is falsy. So it basically just coerces it into a Boolean type. Because, like I said in the beginning, these operators only deal with Boolean values. Okay, let's say I do want steak, and I don't want eggs. So the famous breakfast dish, steak and eggs. So I do want steak, I don't want eggs. If you were to ask me a question like, all right, well, do you want steak and do you want eggs? Think about it for a second. The answer to this would be, no, I don't want steak and eggs. I just want steak. So and, if we run this, let me clear it, this is false. So the way and works is if both sides are true, then it's true. But if either side or both sides are false, then the result is going to be false. So if I said, I don't want steak, nor do I want eggs, and I run this, it's still going to be false. False and false is false. False and true is false. True and false is false. I'm sorry. False and true is false. True and false is false. Only time that and will ever give you a true value back is if both sides that it's operating on are true. So here I want steak and I want eggs. So the question, do you want steak and eggs, is true. Conversely, maybe not conversely, but the or operator works slightly different. So whereas the and operator will only give you true if both are true, the or operator will only give you false if both are false. So back to this original one of I want steak, I don't want eggs. Do you want steak or do you want eggs? this is true. Because I do want steak, so I do want steak, I don't want eggs. The OR operator says if either of them is true, the result is true. So want steak is true. It doesn't even matter what want eggs is because we know that this condition is satisfied. So again, the only way OR is ever going to give you a false result is if both sides that it's operating on are false. That's the only way OR will ever be false. The last thing I want to show you guys is how these can they're operators just like the arithmetic operators, plus, minus, divides, whatever. And so they can be stacked in equations. So I'm going to make an equation here. And for simplicity's sake, I'm just not going to deal with variables. I'm just going to deal with true and false literals. So literal being the actual value, true or false. So my equation here is true and false or true. So this is basically going to say, the question becomes, what is the order of operations here, right? So let me actually switch these to make this demonstration clearer. So if I had, let's say I had an equation that was math-based, that was like 5 plus 3 times 8, right? Well, you wouldn't just go in order here. You wouldn't go 5 plus 3 is 8, times 8 is 64, right? There's an order of operations where it goes, PEMDAS is how it was taught to me, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So it's going to do this part first, 3 times 8, which is going to give you 24. And then it's going to do this part, 5 plus the result of this, so 29. So this result is 29. If you wanted it to be structured differently, you would have to put the parentheses in to indicate, no, I want you to do this first, and then I want you to do the multiplication, right? So the same is true for logic. So the order of operations actually follows this pretty well. So in logical operators, the AND sign, the ampersand, is like multiplication, and the OR is treated like addition. So this would be evaluated these parts first, then this part. So we'll do this false and true first, which is going to be false, and then it's going to evaluate it against or true. But because we already learned or anything, that's going to be true. This equation will be true. Okay, so if you wanted it to do the OR first, just like in the example below, you'd have to indicate it with parentheses. Now I want you to do true or false, and that with true. But this actually isn't going to change our result in this case because true or false is true, true and true is true. So not going to change the result, but there will be times when it does change the result. And if you're wondering where not fits in, not is always done first. It has the highest order of importance. So if I did true or not false, again, not going to change the result, but, well, maybe I can make a change like this. Not true or, I got rid of these. So it's going to do this side, false and true, which is going to be false, or false is going to be false. But the point is it's going to do this not thing before it does anything else. So there it is. All right, that's just a taste of logical operators, them being not, or and. There's tons, like I said, tons of other operators. We'll probably do videos on them in the future. But if you come across any that you're not familiar with, again, I recommend this W3 Schools website. I'll have a link to it in our description because it really covers all of them and gives you some cool examples and ways to try it out. So definitely a great resource to hang on to. That's it for this video. Thanks you all for watching it. And I guess I'll see you next time. Have a great day.